എല്ലാ ആഴ്ചയിലും പുള്ളി സിനിമയ്ക്ക് പോകും. പിള്ളേരോടൊക്കെ നുണ പറഞ്ഞ് പുള്ളി ഓടിപ്പോകും. ഈ സിനിമയുടെ കഥകളും നാടൻ കഥകളും ഒക്കെ മിക്സപ്പ് ചെയ്തിട്ടും പുള്ളിയുടെ തനതായിട്ടുള്ള കുറെ നുണകളും ഒക്കെ കൂട്ടിയിട്ടാണ് പുള്ളി കഥകൾ ഉണ്ടാക്കണേ.
Talking about the appreciation for Kanditunde, it has been kind of a big way being unique.
Yeah, absolutely. Kanditunde, the response has been overwhelming, and mostly for Achan. And somebody who was so anonymously living in a small sleepy town like Tripunithura suddenly is known to be a man of various powers. Like, can see ghosts, and also it's quite crazy that some people even approached him asking whether he can like exorcise some ghosts and stuff, so it's crazy how an animated film can like encroach one's privacy. When he's walking around, there are a lot of people who never bothered to look at him now want a selfie, and it's crazy that how. And he loves this attention because at this age of 92, he's 92 now. He's able to kind of enjoy this, which is a great thing, like.
സംസാരം വളരെ ഇഷ്ടമായിട്ടുള്ള ഒരാളാണ്. ഒരുപാട് നുണ മിക്സ് ചെയ്ത് മനുഷ്യവ്യക്തികളും എല്ലാം കൂട്ടിയാണ് പുള്ളി സംസാരിക്കണേ. എപ്പോഴും ആളുകളോടൊക്കെ ഔട്ട് ഗോയിങ് ആയിട്ട് സംസാരിക്കാനും. അതുകൊണ്ട് തന്നെ സബ്ജക്ട്സും ഒരുപാടുണ്ട് പുള്ളിയുടെ കയ്യിൽ ഇറക്കാനായിട്ട്.
My father, I don't know, somehow he keeps thanking us for making the film, and it's which is I always tell him that without your stories the film wouldn't have been there. The subject is not there without your narration, and he also, because so many people are wanting to meet him and wanting to talk to him, and that sort of a thing also has been like a very, very heartwarming response. Of course, the film aesthetically, in terms of its craft and animation and everything, people have been raving about it.
നിലവും ആകാശവും തൊടാതെ നിൽക്കുന്ന ഒരു ഭീകര രൂപം.
നിലവും ആകാശം തൊടാതെ
കണ്ടാലിങ്ങനെ ഒരു നമുക്ക്
മുഖം
കൃത്യമായി മുഖം ലക്ഷണം അറിയില്ല. അവിടെ തലയും ഉടലുകളും ഒക്കെ ഉണ്ടെന്ന് മാത്രമേ തോന്നുകയുള്ളൂ.
So, what was unexpected is the younger age group, which is almost like the new generation, that's how we call them, who may not have experienced the presence or the story narration of their grandparents. How they kind of warmed up to it is also very, very nice to see that. And also, across age groups, like people have been appreciating it. How people have kind of shown it to their grandparents, or kid or middle-aged people have shown it to their parents, and young parents who had shown it to their really small children. So it has kind of covered a very, very large range of age group in Malayalam speaking diaspora. So I won't say it is only in Kerala, but because it's also traveled across borders, and also it's people have been people who you would never expect to kind of appreciate it, like doctors community, engineering community, so all sort of people have been in their alumni groups and college groups and everywhere. It's been passing around. People have been passing it around, which is great.
Now, this you have been winning a few awards, and this has been traveling across the globe as well. So, are there any screenings planned on the Kanditunde will be screened in some festivals in the because some festivals are lined up in the coming weeks?
We are planning to showcase the film at IFFK. Along with meet the director, meet the storyteller, my father. Achan also would be there in person. We are planning a whole session on original animation in Malayalam. I mean, whether Kanditundu can start a trend, because there are a lot of great animators in Malayalam, in Kerala. It's just that they're very talented, but they're all working on something else, but not something in Malayalam. So would this sort of a encouragement that people have received and seen and experienced with Kanditunda becoming such a popular and well appreciated film, whether it can become a movement? I mean, I hope it does. So we are going to talk about those things, like how, like in Kerala always has been a bed of great audience who would accept new formats and new ways of filmmaking. So, I mean, compared to the rest of the country, because of the savviness of films, but at the same time, the acceptance of animation as a medium, which is always considered as a children's content or just taken as mere cartoons, this film has been taken on and accepted by such a wide range of people, wide range of age group, and across occupations, etc. Even economic classes, social classes. So that is something that we would be probably trying to discuss about in this session. The dates and all are not confirmed, but there's a keen interest from IFFK to kind of dedicate some good amount of time for this session on Kanditunda.
No, IFFK has been, so far enlightening, and people who have been watching IFFK from beginning, they have turned filmmakers like Sajjan Babu and or have turned filmmakers in the course of time. So it shows how much the festival is inspiring the young generation.
Yeah.
And thanks to those people who have made that decision to bring Kanditunda.
Right.
IFFK. Talking about the storytelling part, you said people across all ages, and what is the kind of void situation or the vacuum created in the current generation for not listening to such stories, which we were fortunate to listen to. But unlike those stories which we have been listening, which were kind of moral stories, which are not quite acceptable for the new generation, this story has in all its merits, the kind of attractive elements.
No, there is absolutely nothing to do with moral values or anything. But I think a very interesting thing about it is how earnestly and with conviction Achan narrates these stories almost as if he's seen them. And kind of the make-believe plots that are created, and all in an unscripted manner. So we hear and see fiction, but with very very processed writing to make it appear spontaneous, etc. Right? But this is really spontaneous, straight out of a conversation, and and those points of those funny moments, the fumblings, everything that happens in a conversation, they have all been like really placed in a very very interesting way in the film. I mean that those are all credits to Aditi for kind of extracting those moments and utilizing them and showcasing them in this sort of humor. That's all been visualized by Aditi very very beautifully.
The part of animation, like the introductory part, the street lamp, which we have already talked about in our earlier conversation. The other thing was about Tendon character. In the narration, of course, there is this talking about the measurement data, but then when you literally show that in a different way, that is very much appealing. And it's kind of different way of storytelling. I don't know whether anyone, when we do a live action film also will think about doing something like that. But so that part I think we should definitely discuss about.
The live action medium doesn't allow such sort of possibility of a fictional character of the scale and stuff sitting next to a human. It calls for a huge amount of VFX and logistics thing. In animation, in 2D animation, you can just draw the character the way you feel like. So that kind of frees us from a lot of other baggages. Of course, to make sure that it is delivered nicely with the right humor, with the right sort of exposure, it requires a very very sharp director, and I mean, who has an animation sense to bring it out in that sort of essence. And that, I think Aditi has that rare talent to bring that out very beautifully. So it's all in the storyboard. She brought Tendon to kind of pick up the arachnet and kind of show the reference, just trying to help out Achin during the interview so that he doesn't lose his flow with the thing. Like just being extremely cooperative with Achin rather than, I mean, like otherwise someone who looks like a monster is also very happy about the way my father narrates about him. So there's a lot of camaraderie over there. How they work like a team. It's purely a visualization that Aditi brought onto the table. Even the beginning section, the introduction section, how to deal with the nostalgia of those old lights that used to be there in our streets is something that I mean, I would think that people like us would also not think about. So I mean, in that sense, Aditi being a 24-year-old person who actually wouldn't have even seen it in the last 15 years, but she must have seen something when she was really tiny. Those lamps with yellow bulbs, which hardly lit anywhere. Those ones were like everywhere in our streets, right? So to remember of those times and kind of bring that out in that initial sequence, it's really, really nice. And to kind of mix up even the Malayali-ness, even in the insects, the essence of being a Mallu and being a localite, that goes out to even the creatures and insects and everything. It's also very exciting. It's also very, very much part of that. It soaks you in the spirit of being a Malayali. So it is coming from that, I feel.
Talking to Rasulji, he was also mentioning about how you approached him as with your ideas of you had brought some references to the music.
The music was the soundscape was a difficult thing to crack. So there were, even Rasul had and his team had a few times to go back and on it because I was not feeling that it was right for the film, the soundscape, that the way it was working out. And because I was looking at a sense of minimalism in the soundtrack, but at the same time, having certain sounds that created a sense of frozen time. Like, when you're talking about in the 80s, how the horns of the buses were, or how the engines kind of whirred with the KSRTC buses. It all, these are sounds that are frozen in time. So, it was essential to bring some of those sounds back. And, even the sensibility of music in the 70s and 80s films were too cacophonic. And, how would the cinema feel with that? What sort of sounds and what sort of over the top music? And, the instrumentation that are used, like, like a lot of unwanted violins, and all those things are part of that time. So they kind of are sticky to those time zones. And how do we bring those things in the right places was a big challenge. And I think Rasool being, I mean, he's a contemporary of mine, so I think he has also observed it so keenly that it was very, probably it would have been difficult for him to extract or create those sounds. But I think because he's so sensitive about sound, he was able to kind of do a great job of bringing some of those things. I mean, for example, when my father is drinking the tea, and there are some sounds that happen in the background. There's a train that is passing by. There are some horns that or an announcement from a nearby temple, or like a lottery seller or something, which is also not anymore in the current soundscape of Kerala. So all those things have been brought in to probably just the satisfaction of for me, But if people catch it, people have caught a lot of stuff. I could see that people have heard a lot of stuff that is being embedded in some frequencies that is quite unheard by majority of the people. People have been able to listen to them. So it's also a beautiful mix that Rasool and team managed to pull off, where you can kind of hear everything and not being cacophonic. Yeah, music wise, we had a lot of struggle. Like I told you, Rasool was very ambitious to bring help us with some music directors from Hollywood and his friends and stuff. But when we tried out such approaches, it didn't really kind of work for the smallness that we needed for the film. It needed to feel like a small town, and it needed to feel like a small town story where and even my father as a character from those believable small towns. And it didn't need the kind of weight and strength of a big score of music per se, but it needed a very sensitive handling of musical instruments and things. So I had shared when it was very difficult for everyone to kind of gather what I was trying to say in terms of the soundscape. Luckily, Kumati was released on YouTube, a very good print, that too. So I have a lot of nostalgic connection with Kumati as a film, because we were taken from my school to watch Kumati in a theater, and some of the songs and all were like very hauntingly stuck to me for a long time, and the soundscape was beautiful. It just it took you to another space altogether. And so I gave that as a reference, that listen to this. It may have been done maybe 30 years or 35 years or 40 years ago, but this is the kind of soundscape that I want to replicate, and this is the time that I need to bring back in my father's stories. So that instantly Rasool understood what I was meaning by it. So the whole level mixing and everything went very peacefully, because I mean I would think that if I was sharing that with anyone else other than a sensitive Malayali sound designer, we wouldn't have been able to achieve this, because it needs, I mean, reference is one thing, but taking off from the reference and setting the context from what your own personal awareness about those times in Kerala, living in Kerala, can only bring that with the same intensity and subtlety that it is there in the soundtrack currently.
ആളുകളോടൊക്കെ ഔട്ട് ഗോയിങ് ആയിട്ട് സംസാരിക്കാനും അതുകൊണ്ട് തന്നെ സബ്ജക്ട്സും ഒരുപാടുണ്ട് ഇവിടെ ഇറക്കാനായിട്ട്.
Manikara Chetan, which is Suresh's father, he's lying through his nose. And he's make everything believable. So I wanted to create an atmosphere around him. It is believable, so that it works in a believable fantasy. And everyone who would see the film would say, like, what is this guy saying? What is this? What is this whole idea, So I think it worked in those multiple facets. It worked.
So you was also talking about refining the soundtrack with some additions, muting some aspects, and like Doofy was barking on the other side of the room.
There are several sections when Doofy is barking somewhere where my daughter is talking to me, and Amma is telling me something. So all those, because they're not aware that I'm doing some serious recording. And it's all in the open spaces. And I'm not telling people, hey guys, shut up, I'm recording. I'm not doing any of those sort of things, because keeping it as natural as possible. So from that point of view, it is a tough task, especially in the Neetarugala section. When Doofy is barking, we had to put many other dogs to kind of make his bark sound like part of that, and which also adds to the eeriness of the environment. And it was kind of used as an advantage for my father to kind of get a little scared to go into the room. So that section, when he's sitting outside on the easy chair, there are these barking, and that is the narration where Doofy's bark is overlapping on my father's voice. So that it's something that we kind of worked to ensure that it is not kind of standing out, so it is part of the environment.
Coming to Kanditundu as a wave, now it's time that I should also talk about the merchandising part which you have initiated. So how is that going? What was the how did that thought spark?
Merchandise thing is something that you're thinking that these are beautiful characters and great art, just pure black and white. It's dark. It had a lot of potential of becoming something. And during New Year, we used to make something. So this time we thought, why not use Kanditundu as a theme for all our merchandise. So we have never done it with any of our other animation films. So this is the first time we kind of tried this. I mean, not just from people from Kerala, but others also have asked for this thing. And I'm hopeful that when we release the Hindi version, now we have already worked on a Hindi version of the same film. So when we release that, maybe the others also should find it interesting. And it's not very easy to translate the same feeling in other languages, but we are trying our best to kind of give them the same experience, so that they don't lose out on what Malayalam speaking diaspora experience with this film. So we've done the best that we could to kind of keep the same sort of flavor and everything in the conversation. So, I mean, it was very, very nice response. I mean, in general, to your question about merchandise, like massive acceptance amongst young people that, they wanted to, I mean, T-shirts and other things are not something that like people in the middle-aged and above people would like, but, the young people have accepted these very, very nicely.
Some of those interesting aspects about the other side of which is quite innovative, the postcard which we can still use even after the calendar time is over. So
right
one interesting aspect which
we also created whatever you throw away with the dates, that also can become a bookmark.
Okay, yes.
So it also has the graphics on the side. So it's this is paper, and ideally, if it can be reused by people, without it being thrown. That's what we are thinking, that, how best can we kind of repurpose it, so that, it just stays with you.
Even the postcards are also quite, the way I think
Yeah.
kids and all will love this kind of, the drawings and, the black and white scheme.
Right. We are also planning to make a graphic novel sort of a thing based on the film, with a lot more extra drawings and extra plots. But it's something that we are working on currently.
And this, I think I should also show the interesting,
The book, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, for all those who are interested
little
in
one has
drawing,
started using
lovely.
it also.
Really nice, really nice. Yeah, I like the quality of the book and the
Yeah,
size,
yes.
that it's very, very nice size. I mean, I'm an absolute sucker for stationery and books and stuff like that. So, I had to kind of, I was probably the first one to buy it when we came with these products. It was, it's really nice, the way it has turned out, because one is always worried about the binding being right, the printing being right, and so it, in all sense, it's come out really nice.
Yeah, it's quite beautiful, and my T-shirt also.
Oh, Tendon you got.
Yeah.
Nice.
Maybe I should have opened and shown.
I think a lot of people are in Kerala. Also, a lot of people are walking around with Inambechi name
Yeah.
written on their chest, Tendon written on nice. Yeah, and everything has my father behind as the sole witness. Yeah.
And interestingly, I got it. I think on the third day or something, I got the pack also. So that is okay.
Right. Yeah. It's just somehow it's that post-COVID sort of delays on the deliveries have been taken off now. So people are getting it very quickly. Otherwise, such products, if it's going to take forever, it could also be quite irritating.
One quick question about the Hindi version. So, is it all of you are again giving the voice, or is it any professional?
Yeah. It's just me and my father talking in Hindi. Our Hindi is not the best according to the standards, but it's the best that we could do.
So when we talk about that, another interesting aspect is that, yeah, of course, when we watch the film, we won't realize that it is who is giving the sound effects, the voice effects, which in the making video we notice that it is you and Aditi who give the sound effects. Even I think Rasul also was mimicking a part of it.
Yeah. It's a fun time for all of us to get behind the mic and give voices to these characters who nobody has heard of, so we have to kind of give all of them personalities and voice character to them. It was a great fun exercise. We all had a great time.
സിനിമയുടെ
Before I conclude, one quick question about the upcoming, in the series, upcoming animations or stories.
There are a few things that are planned. There is a massive demand on this becoming a series from people, but I don't think it will be in the same format, because people have seen it, and we need to bring something unique, and something that we are working on currently, along with a couple of other very, very interesting projects. We are working on a Malayalam feature animation that is also in the process of making. Because now with the OTT platforms around, I think the language is no more a barrier or a limitation. And animation, it being animation, it will also not get stuck within the borders of Kerala. But like, I think with this lockdown and other things, Malayalam films have been extremely accepted by non-Malayalam speaking diaspora also very, very much. So people have been appreciating like different unusual Malayalam films across the country. So that has really opened up possibilities like that, So we are exploring and working on something.
It's a great opportunity, it seems like, the OTT, but at the same time, you can also make it for the big screen also, right?
Yeah, absolutely. You always make it for theater, but you also get great audience in the OTT space also.
I don't think any full length feature film has come, an animated feature film has come in Malayalam.
Or I think based on those Puranas and all those things, the mythologies and all, it must have come, but not something based on an original story.
Okay, Sureshji, in the emmets, in the morning time, I have captured a lot of your time.
No worries. Thank you so much for being patient, Ashish. It's been an extremely busy week, so I know I postponed this call quite a few times. I mean, I love these light-hearted conversations. The way you conduct them. It's really, really nice. It's informative, and it's also extremely informal, and makes one one is at ease when the people are talking to you. So that's a great thing about you. How as a host you're conducting these sessions. Really amazing.
Thank you so much, Suresh. It's like it's kind of receiving an award, because this is like I started this during the lockdown period when I could save some time, travel time to the office. So I thought, okay, I'll make use of that time to do some some of the conversations which I'm longing to do, of course, yeah. But then doing a casual conversation for myself rather than that. Doing it for people who are interested in, especially on the animation and the graphics front. So I thought that would be very beneficial.
Yeah. It's an amazing sort of perspective that, of course you want to have conversation, but if that conversation can lead to some sort of a help, guidance, learning, or just entertainment for others, that's a pretty making it in a very selfless sort of a canvas. It's very nice, commendable effort.
Thank you so much, Sureshji.
Bye.
മീഡിയ മാതങ്കി മറക്കാതെ സബ്സ്ക്രൈബ് ചെയ്യൂ. നിങ്ങളുടെ അഭിപ്രായങ്ങൾ കമന്റ് ചെയ്യൂ. താങ്ക് യു.